What is up, everyone? This is Too Slow, and today I'm going to be installing my Mishimoto oil cooler. As you can see, there's a lot of dust and cobwebs on it, and dust, because it's been sitting in my living room for about 3 months now. But I already opened everything up. I already went through the kit. I made sure everything is there. The only thing I did buy separately were these rubber grommets for where I drill holes somewhere right here on the inside so that I could pass through the hoses. And then I also went ahead and purchased AEM oil pressure gauge. There's the part number for that gauge kit. Huge story on this. I ended up buying one secondhand from Amazon, or I should say like new condition. Whole shit show. I had to return it, and that took about 2 weeks to even get my refund back, and I finally did get it, so I'm good on that. Universal oil cooler. So we're gonna go ahead, and first thing I'm gonna do is remove my front bumper. Put this guy in the way. Hey, get over here, this little guy. But anyways, we gotta remove our front bumper, remove our front spats to get the bumper off, and then we'll have a lot more visibility room to work with to install our oil cooler. So for removing the whole front bumper, I kind of already gave myself a general idea as to how I'm going to mount up the intercooler, or the cooler, I guess you could call it. So I already took off the front bumper, and I'm gonna reference off the fog lights themselves. You can see the openings are right next to the fog lights. So if I stay leveled with the fog light area, I should have enough cooling, maximum area for cooling for the cooler itself. A lot of cooling, blah 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 blah. Can't even speak today. But anyways, as long as it's parallel with the fog lights themselves, the cooler, I think I should have optimum cooling for the oil cooler. So if we go back, I already have some ideas as to how I'm going to mount it. Oh, let me come down here. Mishimoto, apparently sponsored. I went through the partnership program with them, and they gave me 30% off the whole order purchase. So my general idea is to basically have it like right here towards level I, kind of parallel. And I think that'll actually look pretty cool. I'm going to leave it right there. In the future, I do plan to add the power steering cooler, but that's for a later date, not right now. So I'm going to put it right there. And the brackets I'm going to be using are some that I got from Home Depot a long time ago. But basically, I'm going to be drilling them into the frame right here, the radiator support. And I'm going to use some self-tappers to hold it right here. I'm probably going to go ahead and paint all this as well after I'm done installing it. And if you live in an area where rust is known to happen, make sure you coat it and you treat it well so that it doesn't rust. But we're going to put one right there, and then another one over here, and that should hold my cooler at an appropriate level for the holes of the bumper to give it enough cooling airflow. I don't know why my bash bar has the Toyota logo upside down, but I found that funny. I don't think it is upside down either, because it has the holes for the fog light brackets there. But anyways, let's go ahead and install these brackets and go from there. And for that, as I said, I'm going to use some self-tappers and my DeWalt cordless. So I probably went a little bit overkill with leveling it, but I just wanted the radiator to be straight, and I don't want to be looking at it from a distance like, man, that is not straight, and it would get me. I'm serious, guys. If that radiator was just crooked just a little bit, it would have got me. But anyways, I think what I'm gonna do with this is hammer it so that it becomes flat to the bottom, and then self-tap it to the bottom as well to kind of give it a little bit more strength. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. So there you have it, already installed. I probably could have went a little bit. The bumper's just being held on by itself right now because I wanted to mock and see if or test this to see if the cooler clears the plastic grill, and it actually does. So I don't know. I don't want to lower it a little bit. I think I can, but I'm already committed. I'm already here. It's already installed, so I think I'm just gonna leave it there. It still looks pretty cool. So I'm gonna take out my bumper and cut off the unnecessary extra tabs of the screws hardware. Ended up using the trustworthy Harbor Freight screw kit. This thing's really great. So I think I'm committed to this, and I'm gonna leave it there. So there you have it. Got the hole drilled out for one of the passages. I'm probably gonna do the other one just right here. And I do have rubber grommets for it, guys. Yeah, here they are. So I got rubber grommets, but I think I'm gonna have to mess around with the sheet metal a little bit to get these to fit properly. Or I don't know. I might be able to get them on. But there you have it. That's how they're gonna go. So then I already went ahead and also painted the brackets. I bended them down and I got another screw on it, and these are actually really solid. Got a little bit of shavings right there. Whoops. It's all good. Those aren't even going to be visible when I put the bumper back on. But as I was telling you guys, I did lower it a bit actually. So I got a little hole there exposed, so I threw a little bit of paint over it so it doesn't rust. And yeah, so the Mishimoto cooler is going to be parallel to the bottom of the bumper itself, so it should look good. Yo, that actually looks sweet. So it actually did fit, and it's actually really snug in there. It don't feel like it's going to be moving that much. So that's a 2-inch hole, big enough to get the hose through. But just to double check with you guys, there you have it. Big enough. I could have probably got away with 1.5 inches, but that should be fine. I'm not gonna be too picky about it. I mean, those were cheap on Amazon, and that's what I found. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill the hole right here for the other one, because I don't think I could fit both of them in one single hole. So right here, I'm gonna do the other one. So there you have it. Got both holes drilled out. And this AC lining right here is not in the way. It's actually kind of far back in, so it will give the hose enough clearance to make a U-bend right here. But before I throw on the rubber grommets, I'm just gonna go ahead and spray paint this real quick, just so that it doesn't really oxidize or rust up in the future, even with the rubber grommets on. So there you have it. I already installed it, and I already went ahead and made my holes over here. I got one hole right there, and then I got the other one right there. So the spacing on it's actually pretty good. Seems to clear the fog light just about a couple of millimeters. If not, what I have in mind is to get like a rubber band, a rubber strap, and get them a little bit closer to each other so that this line doesn't rub up against the fog light. You can see right there, might be a little bit touching, but I don't think that's going to be a huge issue. Actually, it's not even touching. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but it does seem to be a little bit in the way, but I could probably manage it, maybe move this a little more in, and as I said, use like a rubber band, not a rubber band, but a rubber clamp, and bring them a little bit closer to each other, kind of help out a little bit. But the reason I installed it is because I'm gonna have to cut them to my appropriate length, because they're really long. Like, check this out. This is one of them. I already took off the fitting on it, and all it is I have to just pretty much cut it to length and then reinsert these two back in there. So Mishimoto sells the tool to cut it, but I think with a pretty good angle grinder cutting wheel, I could probably get it cut to length to my proper desire. And the fitting for the 1MZ is gonna be this one right here, the MMSPA 3416, which is a 3/4 16 UNF fitting. And unfortunately for my oil filter, I will have to be removing the oil filter drain. I have to remove that because the adapter sandwich plate will not fit because that is in the way. So the adapter plate won't fit, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. I'm pretty sure I could just get away with it by removing the plate or the drain, but I took off my oil filter. I just did my oil change maybe a couple thousand miles ago, and you can still see my oil is still pretty golden, so I don't have to do an oil change, but I do have to run a little bit more oil, I believe half a quart, because I'm running the oil cooler. So in every oil change interval, I think it's about 5.5 now that I have to use, which is no big deal. I don't mind because this is a helpful advantage for the 3MZ supercharged setup. So I'm gonna install my sandwich plate, put those onto the sandwich plate, and see how much do I have to cut in order to get the desired length I want. So I went ahead and got my adapter plate. I went ahead and installed both of the fittings, and I also went ahead and installed the oil pressure, I guess, sensor, and it's fitted into the hole right there. Went ahead and used a little bit of Teflon tape as well, just so I could be on the safe side that it doesn't leak. Hopefully that doesn't really damage it. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and install this on the engine block, and the way I have it set up is it's going to be like this on the engine block. So my pressure sensor is gonna go towards the driver's side back through the cabin, just like the way the other sensors are going into. So that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Routing the wires, I could just get this wire to zip tie it onto the slave cylinder. Jeez, I can't speak today. So we're gonna go ahead and install this, and I have my fitting right here. So I'm gonna get this fitting, and to get that fitting on, it's actually a 27mm socket. So I'm gonna put it on the engine block and tighten it, and I'll show you guys the finished product. And so there you have it, all installed. Let's see if I could probably get it from here. Not that bad. Turned out pretty good. There it is, all installed. Gonna go ahead and turn it up and it should be ready to go. So there you have it. It's installed. Spilled a little bit when I was reinstalling the oil filter. I'm gonna try and install my oil drain for the 3MZ. So I'm gonna try and reinstall this after I finish reinstalling the hoses onto that and see if I'm able to do it, but I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be able to, but clearance for the exhaust manifold is there, so it should be fine. I'm pretty sure it'll be the same deal when I put my OBX headers back on. But let's go ahead and finish installing this so I could get ahead and get this car up and running and check for any leaks. Yeah, the angle grinder cut this like butter. Didn't have any issues cutting it, so I'm gonna go ahead and mock this up and see if this is the perfect length. If not, we're gonna trim it some more. So there you have it. I already shortened it. Let's see if I can get one picture. So there it is. It's all shortened, and make sure you clean out the inside, because when you're cutting it, all that stuff from the rubber, when you're cutting it, goes inside the tube, and you can see right here some of it came out. So this should give you guys an idea on how much I cut. Kind of wish I didn't cut it that like this. I could keep this longer hose for, like, let's say in the future it does rip, I can just use this, but that's fine. I think this hose really cost that much money, so I'm just gonna go ahead and toss these two and save that one. But now let's focus on this one, the shorter one. We're gonna go ahead and cut that one up. Already got both lines installed. I got them all tight. And if we zoom out a little bit, you can see the lines are there, right next to the oil pan, so they won't bottom out. And if it does rip, then I guess my oil pan is next when these rip. So I don't see them rubbing up against anything too important. It is somewhat touching this right here. One of the hoses is touching this right here, but I think I'm going to use a clamp right here to kind of bring these two together just a little bit so it's not rubbing up against that. And they both go through the holes right here. They're doing just fine, but one of the hoses is kind of rubbing a little bit right here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to notch this area out so that I get a little bit more clearance for this line over here, because it'll eventually rub until the hose rips. Probably take a good while, but still I don't want that to happen while I'm on the road. One of my hoses rips, because that'd be very inconvenient. But other than that, everything seems to be good. So now next order is to fill up the cooler with oil right here. Mishimoto does say that. So once I fill this up and I see it come to the very top, then I'll go ahead and attach my hose. So we're gonna go ahead and fill it up with some oil, and then we'll close up the line. Would this help? I don't think so. No. So I already went ahead and tightened up both lines. I did put some oil on the oil cooler, but it's kind of taking a little longer than I was expecting so to air out. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to crank the engine without the coil packs and see if that helps. Hopefully it does. So I'm gonna crank the engine until the oil pressure light, or until the oil light is completely off. Let's see. Doesn't want to turn off. There it goes. Okay, we got enough oil pressure. So now what I'm going to do is, actually I need to take off my key, take it out of accessory mode, because I'm going to plug back in the coil packs. So let's plug back in the coil packs, and then we're going to check our oil level through the dipstick and add any if we have to. Let's see. Yeah, we're about a little bit over halfway, so it's actually really good. It's actually okay. So as you saw, I was cranking it, so the oil's already all over the heads of the engine. So I'm pretty sure once it settles down, I'll have a full dipstick. But let's go ahead and start it. Or actually, let's go ahead and double check if we have any leaks before I started, because it did crank a little bit long, so that should be enough for it to see if there's any leaks. No leaks. No leaks. Also don't see any leaks. Can I see any? Not really. let's go ahead and start it. Check engine light is most likely because I unplugged the coil packs and I was cranking it. So that should be fine. Let's go check for leaks. So it's the following day. I forgot to record an outro, but basically I'm really happy with the way it turned out. The installation went a lot smoother than I thought I was going to run through some hiccups, some roadblocks, but turned out to be pretty easy to install. So next video I will be installing the AEM oil pressure gauge. So shouldn't be too hard, should be a quick little video, because all it is just you're connecting positive and negative, and I believe just routing the wire from the sensor through the firewall into the cabin, and that's about it. Don't really have much to talk about the oil cooler. But just pretty cool. Again, thank you, Mishimoto. They hooked it up with a 30% off coupon for the oil cooler, so really appreciate it, and I hope this really helps out the Celica when I do decide to track it, if I do decide to track it. So other than that, guys, thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this type of content, just let me know in the comments down below, and I'll do more of this kind of stuff on the 6th gen. But other than that, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later.